Good evening from the Channel's newsroom here in London. Hong Kong's leader Carrie Lam has said the government will seriously reflect after local elections saw massive gains by pro-democracy candidates. It's after a record turnout over the weekend, with more than 71% of residents taking part in the vote. 17 of the 18 district councils are now controlled by pro-democracy councillors in the first election since the wave of anti-Beijing protests began. It is being seen as a stinging rebuke of Mrs. Lam's leadership and a show of support for the protest movement.
I think the Hong Kong people have clearly spoken. This is not only a referendum, but it sends a very strong signal to the government, the authorities in Hong Kong and Beijing, that the Hong Kong people, in particular, the middle class area like the South Horizons, which actually is a backbone of Hong Kong society.
Colombian protesters and police clashed overnight in Bogota after renewed demonstrations and sporadic looting erupted in the capital. Footage uploaded to social media shows hundreds of people gathered on the streets of the city and police using water cannon and firing tear gas to disperse the protesters. 3 people were killed as more than 250,000 people marched in a national strike to express growing discontent with President Ivan Duque's government. Their grievances included rumoured economic reforms that the president has denied and anger at what protesters call a lack of government action to stop corruption and the murder of human rights activists. The US Navy Chief Richard Spencer has been fired over his handling of the case of a Navy SEAL demoted for misconduct. The case of Edward Gallagher, who was convicted for posing with a corpse, had sparked tensions between US President Donald Trump and military officials. The Navy officer had been due to face a disciplinary review where he could have been stripped of his SEALs membership. There have been differing accounts as to why Richard Spencer was asked to resign. However, Mr. Trump said he was not happy with cost overruns and how Chief Petty Officer Gallagher's trial was run, and suggested this is why Mr. Spencer was fired. A man from Northern Ireland has been charged in connection with the bodies of 39 people that were found in a refrigerated lorry container in October in southeast England. 23-year-old Christopher Kennedy, thought to be the driver of the lorry, has been charged with human trafficking offences. He is from County Armagh in Northern Ireland. The bodies of 39 people were found in a lorry trailer in Essex on October the 23rd, after it arrived in Purfleet from Belgium. 6 people have been killed following a weekend of storms, floods and landslides across parts of Europe. In France and Italy, torrential rain killed 4 people and left 1 missing after it caused flooding and a landslide that swept away a motorway viaduct. In France, 2 people died and at least 1 is missing as high floodwaters swamped cars and turned roads into rivers. Meanwhile, storms hit western Greece over the weekend, causing widespread flooding and disruption to transport. 2 people drowned when their moored sailboat sank as torrential rain and thunderstorms hit the coastline. Extensive damage was also recorded to the road network. Thieves have broken into one of Germany's most famous museums and stolen jewels, sculptures and artwork worth up to $1 billion. A gang of thieves broke into Dresden's renowned Green Vault in the early hours of Monday morning and escaped with the valuable treasures. The regional Prime Minister described the robbery as a crime against the Saxon people. Police have sealed off the building and are still trying to work out exactly what was missing. Rescuers are scrambling to save thousands of sheep trapped after a large cargo ship overturned in the Black Sea off the coast of Romania. The Queen Hind capsized on Sunday after leaving the port of Medea near the southeastern city of Constanta. While all crew members were rescued, more than 14,000 sheep are on board. An operation involving the military, police, firefighters, divers and the Romanian Coast Guard resumed on Monday morning after an overnight pause. It is not yet known what caused the ship, which was bound for Saudi Arabia, to capsize. An investigation will be carried out when the operation to rescue any surviving sheep and salvage the vessel is concluded. And finally, Pope Francis has appealed to world leaders to ensure nuclear bombs are never used again. The pontiff is in Japan and made the remarks to Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, government leaders and diplomats 1 day after he visited Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the only 2 cities hit by atomic bombs. Francis said he wanted to encourage and promote every necessary means of dissuasion so that destruction generated by atomic bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki will never take place again in human history. He then led a mass in the Tokyo Dome for 50,000 people. It is the first trip by a pontiff to Japan since 1981. And that's your international news around the world in 5.
Many thanks, Simon. Time now for sports news with Charles Seruka.
Thanks, Gimba, and welcome to Sports News. The league management company has converted the remaining period of Caterpillar's captain Rabiu Ali's 12-match ban to a suspended sentence with effect from match day 6. Ali was handed the ban in June this year by the LMC after he was charged with accosting the match referee during last season's NPFL Championship playoffs in Lagos. The LMC today revealed on its official Twitter handle that following apology letters from Rabiu and considering his past record in the league, the ban has come under review considering the community service he rendered as directed by the LMC. In England, Tottenham's new manager Jose Mourinho insists he wants to focus on the group stage of this season's UEFA Champions League for now, and talks of winning Europe's biggest cup competition are a distraction. Spurs reached the Champions League final under Mauricio Pochettino last season, but Mourinho, who replaced the Argentine manager last week, is not looking that far ahead. A win against Olympiacos or matching Red Star Belgrade's result against Bayern Munich also on Tuesday will see last season's beaten finalists progress. That's it on Sports News. I'm Charles Eruka, and it's back to Gimba with the rest of the news at 10.
And the main news again, the Federal High Court in Abuja today granted bail to the former chairman of the defunct Pension Reforms Task Team, Abdulrashid Maina, in the sum of 1 billion naira with stringent conditions for the sureties. Justice Okona Bank ruled that both sureties must be serving senators. And that's how it's been on the news at 10 tonight. Many thanks indeed for watching. I'm Gimba Omar. Good night.